Funkers, do you think that today might be a good time for, I think, what has been needed for a long time now? And that is a server tour. I need to show you guys what my server looks like with shaders. And I'm going to show you through all the important landmarks of this server and everything I've been through. So, buckle up, guys. So, first up on our list is going to have to be the Humble Abode area. This area was where I basically spent the latest bits on my server. As you can see, here's the Humble Abode I built in Warcraft 17, the Humble Abode. If we come up and we fly across this entire area, we can see, yeah, it's a nice little pleasant place where me and my friends could sort of hang out. It was nice, and I happened to notice that somebody... Okay, I actually have not noticed this before. But, yep. There's this. So, this has only really been influential for the last bit of the server. This Humble Abode area has not been around for very long. So, yeah, that's really it. There's not much more that can be said. Now we better go over to another recent area. This has got to have to be the shopping district. It's going to be off there in the distance. Actually, while we see this is actually something that my friend built quite a while ago when he was first joining the server, but he never completed it. And that over there, that big project, was meant to be an event I was going to host on the server, where everyone on the server could join this big mini-games thing. I've done it in the previous version of the server, although sadly I did not record it. So it was really fun, and I tried to do it again, but the idea never really got off the ground. Now we've got the second spot. This is the mole. Now for you guys, this is only 2 episodes ago, but for me, I built this ages ago. So much has happened on the server since the mole was created, to be honest. And really, it just seems like an old artifact. And all the stuff in here as well, it makes me feel sort of nostalgic for all the stuff that was here. And what the server has become in the end. Now, I think it's a good time to probably go and explore our Nether. Our Nether has probably been through a very turbulent history. Here's a fun, funky fact. Did you know, I was once experimenting with the server, bringing it to Fabric. No, Spigot, sorry, my mistake. Bringing it to Spigot. But the idea never really, formalized. But I did first change it over to Spigot, and it ruined the end and the Nether dimensions, causing, some pretty sad stuff. Well, that's all that can be said about the Nether. There's not much more. But here is probably the oldest and the most influential part of the server. Over here is the old IWP base. This is still technically the IWP base. Over there you can see the mountain I built that during Warcraft 10 and everything. The old iron farm, which for some reason it seems like overnight stopped working. The sugarcane farm. I remember this lake used to be so big. I used to think, oh my goodness, this lake is so big. I was like, oh my god, it's crazy. And now I look at it now, it seems so small. Really, and it seems so destroyed as well. And I think over here is also another interesting point to visit. Some of you might remember that this is the exact spot of the Great Battle of the Civil War's final battle, in which all me and Trey's stuff was decimated by Nico's Turbo Crystal. Yeah, not a big fan of that one, Funkers. Now we've got this big IWP area. This area actually has so much history to it, because, to be honest, it's lasted way longer than you might think. This server was first created in about June. And actually the old iron farm, this was when Nico told me there was a way to make an iron farm without needing any zombies, was created. You can see this actually used to be a village. This entire area was a village. You can see over there, still from the lanterns, all that, this. But I think in about maybe Warcraft 6, I think, all of it was burnt down by Abode. And yeah, it's never really recovered since. That was also when I had to move all my stuff into here. I see what Nico's built there, so funny. And this is probably the next good area. In Warcraft 2, I built this house. Literally, the walls of this house are ancient. They are from Warcraft 2. When I mine this is a block that probably has not been mined in a very, very, very long time. And it's very interesting to see that, actually. How it's a block that has not been mined in so long. Oh, okay, that was unintended, but there we go. Here is the old villager base. This is what I first had in mind with my villagers. When the server was first created, I had an idea to create a completely secret villager lair, where I would have a cover of having a couple villagers inside this house, and then having all my real villagers down below. It was fun while it lasted, and it worked. Until, of course, all the villagers got murdered by a zombie, and once again, still not sure who did it. It's one of the great server mysteries. Now, someone's actually covered all this up. Well, if we... someone's really covered all this up. Go down here, we can go see this is the first level. This is all the villager stuff. It's been so long. It's really been so long. This is... yeah, but this is where I had all my old villagers. See Nico's weaponsmith from when he was still in my faction. There even, I think, one villager still remains. No, they don't. But still, really interesting how all these villagers that used to be here. I can still remember. All this was so populated. Probably all this stuff in the chest. It hasn't been touched for so long. This old villager breeder that I built. You know, this used to be the zombifying area. Till I moved it over here. Actually, a really long while ago. It's really interesting to see how things can just get ruined on a server. Give it long enough. Then, we've also got this area even further down. This area used to be my base. It looked pretty nice when it was created. I think I built it during Warcraft 6. Not much really happened here. It used to be the spot where I stored all my items. There's still some pretty useful stuff in these chests. And see a thing here, my stuff. Oh wow, you really see everything that we worked on. All that, all this. I remember when Nico hid all my stuff and Trey made this axolotl pond. Wow. It's truly very interesting. You have no real idea how interesting this really feels for me. To see all this stuff, to revisit it. Like, look at all this stuff here. And now the space got ruined, and if you're wondering, there was a hacker that went onto the server. And basically, he griefed a lot of things, he killed all my villagers. He got banned the day afterwards, but still, it's a terrifying tale. Oh my god, I can still remember when all this was first built. I remember I was very, very happy. I was quite proud as well of this villager thing that I had built, everything here. And of course the big IWP flag raised during Warcraft 7. The Industrial District, which brings me on to the next area. The Industrial District. As you can see all around me, this is the Industrial District. When it first started off, I had, I think, 3 or 4 main farms. This farm right here, which is the old mob grinder, never really worked, at least not very well. Nothing really came of it. I mean, still, there was the occasional mob or 2 that dropped in here, but I don't remember there being too much loot. There was, of course, our automatic sugarcane farm, which also got griefed, pretty interestingly. It's interesting to see how this all happens. And then the only really operational farm out of everything here has honestly got to be the sheep farm. I find it so interesting how the sheep farm still works. It's probably still... yeah, I know, it's still got shears in it and everything. Ah, I can see what happens. Something happened here. Well, it's sort of broken, but I guess it still counts as one of my not so broken farms. Then we've also got here the area of powdered snow, which for something I'll be talking about later, called the mountain. Mountain was a very big project that I did. Actually, me and Trey worked on it a lot during the summer break for Europe, and we had to grind a lot of powdered snow for it. Now next we're going in for here. Let's go down here. This is one of the most secretive farms, and it's a farm I always forget I still have. This is the slime farm. It is incredibly slow, it barely produces anything, but it still works. So, wow. And also, now we move on to the mountain. Now, for all those that know, the mountain was a big project on Barcon. Probably the biggest project I've ever done. I'm even going to consider it a mega base, considering how long it took me to build. As you can see, it's just basically a very big mountain, and when we built it, it was the pride of the IWP. It was amazing. It had my very first, and this is the very first time I had ever made an automatic sorter, which could unpack my shulker boxes, which I would put in here. So I'd put my shulker boxes in here, and I don't have any on me, and then it would take them out, and it would put them in all these chests. I still believe that everything works. The problem is that everything just got ransacked. Everything got stolen. So that's the sad problem that happened. Everything got stolen from the first richities that we had in these chests. There's now nothing in there. And then we have the villagers. This is a really cool place. I loved these villagers. It took me ages to work on during, I think, Warcraft 15. And by the way, that was ages ago for me. Notice the spacing. I rapidly slowed down making videos because nothing really happened on the server. After about Warcraft 13 or so. And I remember when I made this, for me, it feels like ages ago. And I still remember this. This was a bubble elevator I was going to make to travel up the entire mountain. Sadly, other things got in the way of building this bubble elevator, so we will never know. And that was meant to be the bunker. Yep, we were meant to build a bunker. And I know what that is. That was our secret area for storing stuff. Never really worked. And I might as well take you through some of the other rooms that we had here, because you know we had a fair bit. The mountain was going to be like really a big project. Here is the IWP Hall of Fame. That is true. First set of armor owned by the IWP. That was my old set of armor when this server was first created. That's also very true. Some shields. But once again, this place got ransacked. And here is probably one of the coolest things I've ever built. Let's see if it still works. It still works. Okay. This, I found it insane. We were going to have a whole flying machine thing. That about over here, there was going to be a bunch of flying machines all lined up. And then they would all travel out the door in an escape route or something. Look, we didn't really plan it that thoroughly, but it was amazing. It was really fun. Oh god. And then here we have actually the very first interior room built in the mountain. The stables. I still believe this is my old horse. And it still remains in here. Here's a semi-automatic horse door that I built while first making it. Everything here still works, which is really cool and actually quite surprising. How everything still works exactly as I had left it. Nico's carpet duper, I still remember that. I did not approve of it, and I had it shut down. Now, there is still some more that there's worth showing. Because, after all, the history on the server does not only apply to me. I am not the only player on the server. My friends played on this server. They played on the server with me. And they built their own bases. It's actually really interesting to see all of my friends' old bases back together again. This base, nothing's really happened to this base since about I'm willing to say about June or August. Since about Warcraft 4 and 5, this base was never used again. It was the old base of the IBC. It was an old clan on the server. It was very powerful in the early days of the server. I can still remember it so well. It was really powerful. It was really amazing, actually, to see the IBC. And then what became of it? The funny thing is that on the server, things slowly get more run down. Over time, people build up places. We use this place for raids. And what's become of it? It used to be a beautiful place. If you watch some of my older episodes, you will see. And this old hidden storage room, and it's not here. Okay, I went to the wrong spot. I think it might be here. I remember when Moritz showed me this. I was amazed. But here it is. This is his old storage room. He used to be lined with chests if you watch Warcraft 4 and 5. All in here was the secret chest room. Until, of course, everything sadly got destroyed. I have never seen this. What is this? It's meant to be like an automatic farm of some sorts. Might just be a swimming pool. Alright. Well, either way, I'm going to respect it. Because I have never actually seen that, because I've never really been down here since the Great Tragedy, which is when me and Pablo tried to build a trap for Moritz, and it didn't go so well. Oh, wrong shrine. And here's the IWP border wall. This is pretty big, and I spent time building it, and I never recorded it. I think I recorded some bits, but the clips must have been lost. So now, if we follow this great big IWP border wall, we should find Tess's base. Tess was a not so very influential member of the server who only joined quite late, actually, in the server. But he had amassed quite a stockpile of stuff, as you can see in stuff like this. Okay, fine, maybe not in stuff like that, but you understand what I mean, right? He had amassed a pretty good stockpile of stuff. He wanted to do more. Sadly, he never could because the server, just people stopped really playing on it that much. He also had a really nice and big idea of a big base. He wanted a massive dome where there would be jungle leaves and everything, all in here. We started to place everything out, it was going well, and then Tess lost interest in the project. And it was stopped, sadly. Now, actually, this is something I have seen before only once. That's Tess's creeper farm, which he always said never worked, but since I've last checked on it, it seemed to have made a decent amount of gunpowder, so yeah, I think it works. Now, we should probably head back into the Nether again, because I just need to remember, actually. Oh, turns out Callum's here. That's the server does not only apply to, of course, us and the IBC and everything. Nico was a very influential member on this server. He's probably so confused. He does not know I switched it back. So here's where the portal was. Well, that was the old IWP, no, what's it called, portal. And over here, I'm actually going to show you what I built only a couple of episodes ago. I'm recording. I'll explain to him after. But this whole area here was a nice, new, vibrant area that was built, I think, around 4 months or 5 months ago. I built it with my friend. It was very fun to do. It was nice. Everything was like, it worked well. We lived on a nice desert island. He built it with some dead coral, as you can see. Nice big desert island. Created everything well. AFK pool, probably even a shulker box there. He started even selling some wheat inside the mall. Wow, and that was my old warehouse where I would store stuff. where of course there's only a couple buckets of milk, because right over here there was an ocean monument. Wrong trident. Okay, wrong trident. I always do the wrong trident. But you might be wondering, what is so special about over here? I've kept this a secret for long enough. I know I have. This is my old, this is my new, actually, villager enclosure. For you guys, this is only about 2 episodes old, but for me, this is ancient. Right. But for me, it still works and operates as my fully fledged villager enclosure. However small and octonauts looking it may be, I still love it. I still really like its design. I am a massive supporter, and I mean massive supporter of it. And yeah, I really hope that more projects like this will happen in the future, especially centered around this prismarine tone. You know, me and Trey were even going to mine out a monument just before they changed over the server, but the plans really never formalized into real life, as you can see with many other things. Oh, buddy. Oh, I don't have a shield on me, I forget. Don't want to pop a totem. But, yeah, it's the same as many things on the server that have never really formalized. But so, back we go here again. There is not that much more to be said that I can easily remember, because while the server has a very vibrant history, a lot of stuff I can't remember. Wait a second, I just remembered something. Pablo's old base. You might remember, but Pablo was an old member of the server who used to be on, but not for very long. He was on only for about 2 months before he decided to quit after losing his stuff, and since has never even come back to the game Minecraft, or at least not on my server, choosing to play other games instead. But his base is still a monument, considering he had a lot of time to do stuff. So his base is still, yeah, as I said, pretty monumental. I can still remember when the server first came out, I had to travel along this ice road. It was tedious, going all the way to Pablo's base. I remember I became allies with Pablo, and it was really cool. I remember going to Pablo's village for the first time, being absolutely amazed by all this, because it is truly an amazing experience. Wow, it is so cool. I like what he did here, and if he just had some more time on the server, I really think he had so much potential. But sadly, it never formalized. Once again, he built this base, never really to return to the server after building it. Built a couple more little tank things, like a checkpoint. Once again, never really came back to it. He even built this big pyramid thing he planned to build with a couple more members of the server. Another big pyramid thing. It's meant to be a hole of death, you see, and then that. But he had planned to build something even better, but once again, never formalized. Okay, I think it might have to be time to show you guys something very important. Something I have never ever shown on camera or to anyone else apart from Trey. This is the IWP Armory. Now, considering how dead this server is currently, or at least this version of it, I think it's alright to show you guys, because, to be honest, I don't really think much is going to be happening. Although, of course, I do hope that this server has a vibrant history. And, of course, will continue. And actually, as I stop here, here is actually another great moment, a very interesting moment, of mass deforestation on a server. If you had watched my earlier servers, my earlier clips, you might know that this whole area here, up till about maybe there, was coated in a thick layer of spruce trees. I had a rule for the trees over there to be replanted, but not for the ones over here to be replanted. And of course, with Fletcher villagers, everything went bad. And that's actually a portal to the Nether roof, by the way. Which is very interesting, because it used to be very deep inside the forest, I remember. I even remember getting lost. But slowly, the forest would get drawn back even more, until it becomes the thin thing that it is today. And I didn't even have my rockets. Incredibly thin, as you can see here. Not much of a forest anymore, really. A tiny fragment of what it used to be. I hope more of this stuff doesn't happen on other servers. Well, it is once again time to show you that IWP Armory thing I was talking about. I will definitely actually cut out the way for me getting there, because, to be honest, it's pretty sensitive information, and if the server ever does become vibrant again, I do not want the IWP Armory for its position to be known. So I'm going to cut the clip right here. Alright, I'm back again at the IWP Armory. This place is bloody amazing in the amount of stuff that we could just grind for and get in actually just a short amount of time. This was never actually really completed, as you can see there. We even ran out of wool to finish the flag. But nonetheless, everything is still stocked, all very, very powerful. So many items, in case the IWP ever came to a war. Even amassing some end crystals, because we had an interesting doctrine. Also, over here, I created something, and I was digging out for something that once again never really got formalized, mainly due to just oh wow, okay, that's pretty interesting. How big and how much time it would take to do. And this was meant to be a massive training center for people of the IWP to come in and really like fight in. But it was just too big of a project. It took me so long. I did not have a beacon. This area is huge. It was hard, and yeah, we even built a little farm here. Nice. But other than that, we didn't really do that much with this area on the server, actually. So it's still waiting, and that equipment in there is still waiting in case we ever have a war. I'm cutting the... But in the end, here we are. Back at the humble abode. The new life and the current life of the server all lies right here, in the humble abode. Here's where everything really is, and I can notice my frames are reducing because of that thing. If I just look out into the distance, more frames. But this is, yeah, the current life of the server is all here. See, property of the village, so this means that everyone can use it. This is where everyone is having fun right now. This is the new bot place to be. But back onto the history, there is so much more that happened with the server. The server is way more than just this, and even more than the stuff that I've just talked about in this part of it, because really there's so much history that I can't even remember. Like really, so many people have been on, so many people have stopped playing. It's just a really interesting history, everything on the server. This pillager outpost, it was the first place I died to when the server was created. The failed raid farms. The mountain that we said we would excavate to make our failed raid farm a working raid farm, which just made the problem even worse. The mall. So much, actually. There's so much history in a server, even if it's only been up for about a year and a half. Even here, Janna's base, right next to spawn. She has not been on for quite a while now. Probably will never be. She was building a castle. It's unknown what will happen next. Then we have also here, quite close to it. This is the spot, the cradle of all civilization on the server. Not here, sorry. I went to the wrong spot. But if I just go about here. This is it. This is the cradle of all civilization on the server. If you guys have watched my very first video on the server, the very first one, you will remember that this is the spot where everyone was. It was the place to be. It was hip happening. It was everything. It was truly amazing, actually. When everyone was first here, all together, no war, no fighting, no real conflict or anything. It was a different time back then. We did not have the troubles or the problems that we had now. Then again, Nico wasn't on, so, you know, explains a lot. This house, I remember I collected the copper from it. I was so excited to use some of the new 1.18 blocks. Nothing's even in here anymore. and we're catching cod in this river, dying to a polar bear right about over there. Then I remember on the second day that the server was up, hopping on, and seeing that everyone had moved. Everyone. They'd all gone to their own special little locations. They'd all done something else with the server. They'd all left. Done something different, you know? But well, this brings us to another place. A terrible, terrible place. This was the place where the Civil War happened. The IWP Civil War is probably the greatest conflict that this server has ever had, with the most amount of deaths, and probably the most amount of diamonds worth of stuff lost. Because you see, just battles in between these two places caused a lot of damage. It was a battle between me, Nico, and Trey primarily, although Pablo and Tess were also involved. Here, in this very end crystal spot, all of Trey's stuff was decimated. It was the last time he was ever seen in Netherite, ever again. And then, I think after that, he had stopped really trying on the server. He saw how his stuff got destroyed and probably didn't want it anymore. I understand. But other than that, the server still has an interesting and turbulent history. I have not talked about everything, as I've said before. There is still far, far more to talk about. Just flying around will bring me more to talk about. For example, Adi's base. He built this quite recently. Don't even know really what to say. I was never really here. And here, the IWP voting area. When we lost the Civil War, we decided to do votes for who would win the IWP election. Oh well. Oh, how interesting it was, because very soon afterwards, Nico would leave the faction, and the server would go back to normal. We would never, ever, ever have another election. This is it. Like, really, that's it. And then, sort of the IWP fell into chaos after it. But still, it was also quite fun while it lasted. And Moritz is there. As I told you about, he was a very influential member on the early server, but stopped playing, and gradually, over time, lost his significance. We go this promotional poster built for the election. Everything that was here, everything that was lost, everything that was destroyed, the fun that I've had on this server. It's all very interesting, and also very nostalgic. It's very interesting that it's snowing. It almost never snowed when the server was first created. Also quite interesting there as well. There was so much created. The server had an immense history. I haven't gone over everything. There's still Callum's base, so many other things that have not been talked about, or have not been talked about in nearly enough detail as they should be. But this brings us to where we are now. Where will the server go from here? Will we almost never play on this one again and only play on the old one? Perhaps. Or will this server last forever? I do hope so, considering how interesting its history is, and how far back it actually stems, to a more simpler, different time. The summer of 2021. Very interesting. But keep in mind, all servers do eventually come to an end. If you remember, I've had more servers before this. The Hermitcraft server, and even so, the Warcraft Season 1. A server that surprisingly only lasted 2 weeks, even though it should have lasted far, far longer. I truly do regret all the things that have happened. Oh boy. Chris. I could have dedicated an entire episode to him. He doesn't play anymore. He doesn't even play Minecraft anymore. So many things have happened on this server. So much has been lost, but then again, what has been gained? So much has been gained. So much fun. Something very interesting. It's basically a lot. A lot has been gained from this server. I've been playing on the recent Warcraft Season 3. Still, many people have played, but not that many. The server is still plagued with what I believe has always been plaguing it, which has been that people, after a while, don't play. They've got nothing really to work for, so they just stop playing. And that's how it works, it's how it goes. But still, it doesn't mean the server is not fun. It doesn't mean that it has no life. It doesn't mean that it has no history. Of course, it still has its vibrant history. This entire time. Everything still how it was before. It's quite a nostalgic experience, seeing things from 6 to 10 months ago. It's interesting to see how quickly time has passed, especially with something on like the server, where it really amplifies and shows how much has really gone, how much you've lost, what has changed, the different time periods, because I would probably dedicate an entire video to this on the future. But there are some times on the server where it's far more interesting and sometimes where it's boring. And each little period of its own is dedicated with its own certain amount of people. Like the early days of the server were dominated by Moritz, me, yeah, basically us two, some more people as well. And then the middle period of the server, this is when some new kids started to join, like Nico, Trey, Daniel, they all started to join, and then all the old kids left, and then we got the middle-late period of the server, where it was basically just Nico and Trey, and me, and then we've got an even latter time of the server, which is where we are now. An interesting time, to say the least. Still not a very vibrant one. I still long for the old days, and I hope that those who watch this video, those who used to play on the server, will play once more, as it was very fun. There's still much more to explore, so much more that I haven't talked about, and still so much more history that is yet to be written. Just looking at my surroundings, I can see so much history. Like this, Nico. What about this? Oh boy. Thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it if you watched right through the end, because, to be honest, not many people do it. If you truly did enjoy this content and you want more, please subscribe. I am going to upload more stuff on the server at some point soon, as long as it gets more vibrant. So yeah, thank you everyone.